heavy, like the hair was azim. They were great. When you looked at it, you saw the greatness, and there were a lot of hair that were going beyond the shoulder of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ila shahmati udhunai. But that day, he had it tied up. So it was a Jummah, but it was tied up, so it was up until the ear. So look at the tafsil that they have described for you. That they didn't say it's a wafra. They could have said it's a wafra. No, it's a Jummah. They were really long hair, but they had tied it up. Now this brings me up to this misconception that people have as having long hair for men is copying women. In history, throughout the history, all of the Sahaba, everyone, they had long hairs. They didn't have barbers. Okay, the only time they would cut their hairs is when? Umrah and Hajj. Otherwise, the sunnah for men is to grow their hair, not to have short hair. Short hair was considered a symbol of kuffars in that time. We have a complete opposite. Oh, the imam with the long hair. Right? People sharing some clips of mine from Instagram and WhatsApp and stuff. Look at this imam. He has braids. Jahil, they're ignorant people. May Allah forgive them. They don't know simple sunnah of Rasulullah. Rasulullah used to have 4 braids. He would have 4 braids. They would go braid all the way 2 and 2. And sometimes كَانَ يَفْرُقُهُ أَرْبَعَ. He would split the head in 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. The hadith in Bukhari which mentions that Prophet ﷺ, Abu Bakr radiallahu anh, he went to defend Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the Quraysh, they beat him up so much that it mentions that ahadu dhafa'irihi, one of his braids, if you were to lift it, the skin of the scalp was coming off with the braid. But the point being, he had a braid. Like they held the braid, and he had 4 braids. So braids, pony, like if you're tying your hair at the back, all of this was a very normal. And this hadith over here, if you read any sharh of it, you're going to find it is referring to that he used to tie his hair up. What is not allowed, makruh, is that when an imam or somebody is leading prayers, that you have your hair tied up, because Rasulullah ﷺ said in a hadith that when you have your long hair and you make sajda, your hair do sajda with you. So free them to bow down in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? So general, hair long is the sunnah. I was once invited at a dawat, and this, he was an army guy, his army family from Pakistan, all army, Peshawar, very disciplined person. And then he was like, Imam Sahib, explain to the son, you can't have long hair. He asked the wrong imam. So I'm like, let me explain to you, this. By the way, short haircuts and stuff in general was even in the battlefield. If you read the tafasir, it is considered a sign of masculinity to have hair that are long. It's considered aib. Like, when somebody would show up for jihad, they would be like, you got short hair, man. Like, we don't know if you're like, you got to have masculinity. That, again, times have changed. Now, coming to other point. When a custom becomes prevalent, like today all men have short hair, right? And this is the point we need to understand. It doesn't mean that I go back and I hold on to the sunnah, I say everybody else's hair is haram. The custom for men has changed. If you were to look at Abu Jahl at that time, he would have that. What was different was the Romans and the Christians would have short hair. They would cut their hairs. So it was a sign that you had to differentiate yourself from that. But the Arabs at the time of Rasulullah, everybody had long hair. Rasulullah wore the dress of Abu Jahl. Right? Somebody saw me in my 3/4 shorts and stuff. It's like, oh, you wear this? I'm like, yeah, because Rasulullah used to wear the libas of Abu Jahl. So coming to the libas element, we'll come to that inshallah. Coming back to the hair. So wafra, limma, and jumma. And you have to memorize the word walij. If you remember this, you'll understand all the different sequences. Wafra is before the earlobe. Limma is between the earlobe and shoulders. Jumma is beyond. Okay? What's one body part in a human's body that always keeps growing? Everything else, once you hit puberty and stuff, body part. Nails. No, other than nails. No. It's a physical body part. Height stops. Height. Weight. MashaAllah, yes. I think weight is definitely one that grows. So a brother met me and he's like, I said, MashaAllah, yeah, Alhamdulillah, Imam Sahib, ever since I got married, I put on so much weight. I'm like, what did you do to put on weight? Right? Like your wife gave kids, like, why would you put on weights? So your earlobes. Scientifically, it's only your earlobes that keep growing. And they're doing research right now to find out if you can actually estimate the age of an individual with the growth of the earlobe. They've not been able to find a standard deviation of how you can measure that, but your earlobes are something that consistently keep on growing. That's a total tangent. Then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it says, alayhi hullatul hamra. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was wearing a red chadar, red cloak. Hulla. Hulla means min al-hulal, which means that it covered part of his body and it didn't cover the other part. That means he was wearing a dress underneath and he had a cloak on top. Hullatul hamra, red. Now here's the point for everybody. There's a hadith that says, Prophet ﷺ forbade us to wear red. He said, Allah has forbidden on me and on my ummah dhahab, gold, and clothes that are red for men, and an aqra'a fi ruku', that I read Quran in ruku'. These three things are forbidden. If Rasulullah in an authentic narration is telling us that these are forbidden, in Nasa'i, Abu Dawud, authentic narrations, and then you have other hadiths that Rasulullah is breaking that rule, how do you reconcile? Good. Okay. So number one, it could be an exceptional rule for Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, i.e. that rule is for rest of the men, but it doesn't apply to Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, beautiful. It could be from the khasa'is. Number two is that this is a very common misunderstanding within the Muslims today. You see something happening. Oh, did Rasulullah do it? Did Sahaba do it? Therefore it's haram. Therefore it's not allowed. Therefore it's a bid'ah. Absolute ignorance. That is not how it works. To justify something in Sharia, as a matter of fact, if Rasulullah left something, كل ما ترك, what do they say? كل ما ترك رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فهو دليل عن حرمة شيء. That if Rasulullah did not do something, he left something, that means it's not allowed to do. As a matter of fact, it's completely opposite. So, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he left taraka, he left urinating sitting down, and he once urinated standing. So when he leaves something, he does not do something, it is to educate to us what is halal and haram, or something that is, okay, this is something, it's a recommended act, it's not something haram. So kullu ma taraka Rasulullah, everything that Rasulullah leaves and he hasn't spoken about, that leads to us for this understanding that it is in the mubah category. It's in the category of mubah. Remember what we said: wajib, mandub, recommended, mandatory, recommended, permissible, mubah. Sharia is silent on it. And we look at the event and we apply Sharia and then decide whether the event is haram or halal. Concerts. Nothing, there's no hadith that says concert is haram. Right? No hadith that says concert is haram. Tell me one hadith. You're not going to find a hadith. How do we know that concerts that happen with, all the singers are haram? We look at different elements of Sharia and say, this particular act is falling under haram. Okay? You have makruh and then you have haram. Again, mandatory, wajib, mandub, recommended, mubah, permissible, makruh, disliked, haram, not permissible. Sharia comes or Rasulullah comes and moves this. So the hadith comes, this thing is haram. Men are not allowed to wear gold and red shirts and not allowed to recite Quran and ruku. Haram. Rasulullah comes and now he moves that from haram category by wearing it for us, saying that it is either makruh So one meaning is he moved it now. He acted upon it. Now it is moved to the category of makruh, i.e., don't do it a lot. Rasulullah only wore it once. Okay? That is why there are 8 different opinions that exist about men wearing red clothes. From the Sahaba, and I'm not talking about ulama. These are 8 opinions, i.e., within the Sahaba and Tabi'een, they could not. There are 8 different opinions about it. The point over here is not to share the 8 opinions. The point is, there are matters which even the Sahaba and Tabi'een who lived in that era could not agree upon. So for us to believe that we will have an agreement upon it is very naive of us. The matter of niqab, right? 2 main Sahabas, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud and Abdullah ibn Abbas, are at odds. One says it's haram, the other says it's haram to say it's haram. I'm like, where are you going to go? So we have to be, as a community, to be able to understand this, that our deen has this wus'a, this plurality. So if I see somebody wearing red, and that miskeen brother has only read 1 hadith, he's like, brother, mashallah, you're wearing haram. Right? But you don't know as a person that this is a matter that the Sahabas couldn't agree on. 8 different opinions on that, right? So that's number 1. Number 2, adab of libs. This is very important because we're going to hear what are the rules of wearing clothes. Very simple. 4 rules if you memorize. There is no such thing as Islamic clothing. It's a fallacy and misunderstanding that people have. If you go read any hadith book, Imam Nawawi used to wear libas of Nainawa, and from there, now when he moved to Egypt, he started wearing the clothes of the people of Egypt. When he moved to a different country, he started wearing clothes of different country. You have Imam Shafi'i, different aqwal about him when he was in Samarkand and other places in Persia, and then when he moves to Egypt, different clothes. 4 rules if you follow in libas, that libas will be halal. Okay? First, Allah yakshif. It shall not expose that which is not supposed to be exposed. For men, navel to knee. For women, all of their body except their hands and face, if you hold that opinion. And if you hold the opinion that hands and face are also part of that, then you take that opinion. Allah, you choose whatever you want. But hands and face, everything else has to be covered. Allah yakshif. So whatever you wear shall not expose that. That's the number 1 criteria. Now, does that mean a man can come, like the other day I went, that physio place, and this guy walks in with like these tight leggings. A guy. I'm like, what are you doing? Right? So there are certain shurut. After you have made sure that you're fully covered, there are certain conditions that have to be met. Second condition, Allah yadhhar, your bashara, your color of your skin. We should not be able to imagine somebody wearing plastic clothes. I'm wearing fully clothed. It's covering my thing. It's just, but you're able to see everything. Allah yadhhar, the clothes shall not be see-through. In specific, for men, navel to knee, that area cannot be see-through. How do we know the criteria of see-through? If under sunlight, you're able to see the skin of the color through those clothes. Not if you put water on them and stuff like that, that goes a little bit beyond. Any clothes that you put water on, you'll be able to see the skin. If you're sitting, I should not be able to see the skin color of the navel. It doesn't, shoulder and stuff is different. From navel to knee, I should not be able to see the color of your skin through the clothes. Allah yadhhar, that's number 2. Number 3, Allah yushbih. You cannot be dressed like a woman, and a man cannot be dressed like a woman, and a woman cannot be dressed like a man. When I look at the person, I should be able to identify right away that this is a woman or this is a man. Okay, Allah yushbih. It cannot look like the others. The second part, which is not mentioned in the tafsir books or hadith books, this is from me because we're living in strange times. Your clothes that you wear should not resemble certain segments of the society. For example, the LGBTQ, right? There are certain things that are representative of their culture. And if anybody has that, it's a subtle sign that I'm aligning with you, I have sympathy for you, or I am one of you. An example of that, some of the young people may know or may not, Allahu Alam, right? Doc Marten shoes are a symbol of lesbianism for women. Read up on articles on that. There's enough articles written on the culture of the the underground culture of lesbianism. Like when a girl wears that particular shoe in public, it's a statement that they're making within the society. So in this today's day and age, right, because this Doc Martens specific shoe has become a symbol of something that we don't attribute with, then that becomes haram. And that's the fluidity of Islam. When that symbol no longer exists, maybe 50 years down the road, then it goes into the category of permissible, right? So, Allah yushbih, it should not, whatever you dress, it should not give a signal that you belong to a certain thing. For the men and for the women, there are certain dresses that are symbols of other cultures, other religion. So a priest collars, dressing like that, all of those yushbih, you're trying to imitate the kuffar. The pants, when the hadith says you should not imitate the non-Muslim, it is referring to their religious clothing. It's not referring to their day-to-day clothing. Their religious, i.e., you should not be able to look at the person, and if you look at him, oh, this person is a Christian. There are certain ways to dress that you will be able to identify that this is a Christian. We all know that in our minds. We can visualize that. Any of that is also not permissible. Last part, Allah yasif. This is a big one. It shall not describe the figure for men and women. You cannot wear skinny tight jeans for men. This is a new trend. MashaAllah, it starts from the waist and hardly an iPhone fits in that jeans. Not allowed in our religion. For men and women, anything that describes the figure of an individual in that dress is not permissible. So I'll repeat that. Allah yadhar, should not be see-through. Allah yakshif, it should not uncover that which has to be covered. Allah yushbih, it should not look and resemble like the opposite gender or specific religious clothing or specific segments of the society that have a certain clothing. Allah yasif, it should not describe your physical structure of the body. Okay? وَعَلَيْهِ حُلَّةُ الْحَمْرَاءِ Prophet ﷺ had حُلَّةُ الْحَمْرَاء. He had a red cloak that he wore. مَا رَأَيْتُ شَيْئًا قَطٌ أَحْسَنَ مِنْهُ. I have never seen something more beautiful than Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When he says the word qattun, i.e. from the time I was born until he is narrating this hadith, and what he has seen in Rasulullah, he can affirm that even in his future, he's not going to be able to see something like that. مَا رَأَيْتُ أَحْسَنَ, like in this earth, not the moon, not the qamar, not the gardens, not the mountains. أَيُّ shay, it says shay'in. I did not see anything in this world that is more beautiful than Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. May Allah grant us the ability to see Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in this dunya before we leave. أحسن منه, more beautiful than him. We'll stop over here inshallah for this hadith. This is hadith number 3. Inshallah we'll start with hadith number 4 next week. If you have any questions related to this, feel free to ask. Yes. Culture, yeah, negative culture, haram culture. Yes. It's fine. Those things are fine. An Indian wears a Pakistani flag is a problem. Just kidding. Yes. It's coming. It's coming. Remember that? I said, it's coming. Yeah, za'faran and stuff. Yes. It's coming. It's coming. All of these things. So in general, silk, can men wear silk clothing? No. Simple answer is no. If it is, what's the word for that silk? If it is, not manufactured silk. If it's manufactured silk, there's an ikhtilaf between the scholars on that. But 100% pure silk, absolutely not. Yeah, women, men, glamorous, sparkling, all of these things. I mean, since you asked this, Once Prophet ﷺ, he went in the market and he liked a cloak, he liked a chadar. He sold 27 camels to buy that one chadar, one cloak. Okay? So from that hadith, the ulama, they say that there is no, like when it comes to dressing, if it's halal dressing, and if it's something that you're going to use and you're going to benefit from it, and it's going to last you for a long time, right? You can go and buy a shirt for $20 or $30, but I don't know what a high-end shirt store here is, but like we have Woolworths and we have like some, Harry Rosen and some big, where you buy a $200 shirt or $300 shirt, but that shirt is going to last you for like 20 years. That one shirt, provided that you don't gain weight. Right?
Research do in order to stay on the right lane. For example, I had no clue about Doc Martens. I have to buy or anything.
That's fine. It doesn't apply to you then, right? Because you do not know. So if a person is ignorant about something, he's not going to be held accountable for it. Okay? Now, for the kids that are going to university and high school, they're very well aware of that. It's very, very well aware of that. Like, I went to a coffee shop and a girl came and brought the coffee and she was wearing Doc Martens. And I was talking to the owner and he's like, I'm really confused. Should I fire her or not? Because she's, like my clients are all conservative Christians. And now after we hired, we found out that she's lesbian. So what do we do? Right? So it's very obvious. Like, but I saying as soon as I saw her, I could, like the way she dressed in a specific type of dressing, it's a symbol right away. It's not 100% all the time, right? But, to avoid those symbols is a recommend. But if you don't know that was a symbol, no problem. What do you need? Cool. Yes. So, good. So, yeah. So, the hadith of Prophet ﷺ, in the explanation of it, وَلَوْ كَانَ قَانِيًا. In another narration, what do you need? Just go. You're bothering me. Like, why are you standing there? Ajib. Look at sir pe khada ho gaya. Like, just give it time. Yeah. So, the crimson red. Okay, crimson red. That is a color that is considered makruh for men. Right here, right here. Either you face or you stay with your dad. Where's your dad? Okay, move back. Stay with your dad. Okay, you're more than welcome to come, but when the class is happening, I want you guys to just listen respectfully, inshallah. Okay? What red did I say? Which red did I say? No, crimson. I said crimson red. Okay, dark. I think dark or light red. I think very, very political. Should go into politics. Crimson red, okay, is something that is disliked on men. There's enough ulama that have spoken about it, but it's not considered into haram. In general, it doesn't look good on a man. Second part about the had of the red is that if a person wears entire red, like socks red, thobe red, the pajama underneath red, the shirt red, the hat red, everything red, that would go under like a blatantly going against that hadith. And some of the ulama, they said that would be not acceptable. But if a person is wearing like black pants, black shirt, and a red shirt, a black coat and a red shirt, it's not red. Like black is more dominant. Red is just a shade in there. Then they're okay with that. Okay. In general, the overall predominant opinion is it's makruh, it's disliked, and it is better to avoid it. But if you don't, we're talking about the bright red. As for the shades of red, then there's no problems with that. It's fine. It's fine. You're fine.
This is something very different than
Yeah.
to please think. What I heard today, right? I mean, I'm thinking definitely old concept coming from back home and not learning myself, being ignorant, right? Not knowing many things. So here, thinking, listening those things first time, this Islam, this halal, and there's a variety of opinions and all that. So now I read a lot, but I listen to the lecture, but still, for me, it's becoming are the guidelines. If you follow this, if you want. Otherwise, if we start hearing those many opinions, I will get confused, and then I will start forming my opinions on many subjects, and I can say, hey, just figure out.
It doesn't matter
See what I'm
because
trying to do?
no. So if it is a matter of aqidah and fiqh, your ibadat and stuff, yes, you're gonna get confused. But if it's a matter of shirt, it doesn't matter.
Not about
Right.
shirt. I'm talking. I think before that you were saying
About
multiple things like hair. That is
again, it's not ibadat, it's adat.
no, not about. I'm talking about those aspects that, and that is good to know that Romans and they used to have
Yeah.
thought here, and this is very contrast. What I'm trying to ask is.
So the whole point of this course is you should have an understanding of what took place at the time of Rasulullah. Okay? And when a hadith comes up, I'm also trying to educate the community with this aspect that many times you're going to find two hadiths that are contradict. And this is a perfect example. In one hadith, Rasulullah, in an authentic hadith, he's saying you should, it's like as if you're wearing gold and reciting Quran in ruku', it's like wearing red shirt. But on the other hand, you have hadith in Bukhari and Muslim, Rasulullah is wearing it. An average person, what happens? They either read this or this. The person who reads this says, no, you're wrong. The person who reads this is wrong. So the problem that we are facing within this masjid is you have ends of people who've only heard one opinion and they've never existed. Oh, there's a second part to this too? Part two that exists. With this, you actually educate this premise that when I see a person following something else, I say, maybe he has some opinion that he follows that might be a valid opinion. Not necessarily that what I hold is the absolute truth and, that's wrong. And that's what we're trying to build here, right? Through the process of these things. And this is intentional, very intentional for me. It may be overwhelming, but as this is very simple stuff. As a community, like if we all have bachelor's degrees, if we can't get to this level that two hadiths and how we're reconciling, and then these are the different opinions about it, as a community, we need our academic discourse to be of that level.
So I would prefer, if I go back home and ask my daughter, hey, Papa, there are other opinions too. So
Yeah, but it really doesn't matter in clothes, right? Other opinions matter in ibadat. Do you see that?
I would love to stay after this discussing this. You can stay at least not one thing. Hey, this is correct, another wrong. Just simplify it for us and everyone else so that when they go, they do not start extrapolating.
Which I did.
That's
I said
what
it's makruh, right? I said the majority opinion is makruh. I said that. There are 8 different opinions, but majority opinion is makruh.
It's just for myself.
Yeah. Yes. And not even sajda. There's another hadith about that.
But the words that we say in ruku, they are from Quran.
No, those are specific ibadat words that Prophet ﷺ taught us to say. Yes. No. If it's a dua, you can. From the Quran, right? Dua from what it's talking about is qira'at al-Quran. You can't say Allahu Akbar in ruku and a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Qul huwa Allahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid wa lam. You can't do that in ruku or sajda. But if it's a dua from the Quran, it's fine. What's the hikmah behind it? Allahu a'lam. I have not been able to find the answer for that. But it's a question that I have. Why? Why not? Like why I'm doing ruku and sajda. And what the best answer that I found was because this is a maqam in which a person is lowering himself in front of Allah physically and prostrating, and it is necessary for us to show in that maqam the exalted nature of Allah, and we only exalt Allah in that maqam because we have lowered ourselves and we need to venerate Allah. But other than that, but it's not a satiating answer for me, but that's an answer that I found. Okay. I do have another meeting to go to, so inshallah I'll stop over here. Barakallahu fikum. Barakallahu fikum. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Allahumma salli wa sallim ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallim tasliman kathira. Wa barik Allahumma Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammad kama barakta ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. Allahumma ati nufusana taqwaha wa zakkiha anta khayru man zakkaha anta waliyuha mawlaha. اللهم أحسن أخلاقنا اللهم اجعل أخلاقنا مثل أخلاق النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم اللهم اجعل أخلاقنا مثل أخلاق النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يا ربنا لك الحمد وصل اللهم تعالى على خير خلقه محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم كثيرا. Probably somebody played with the Wi-Fi.